Hey, before we get to the show, I want to do a quick shout out and a thank you to Kravit Inc. for sponsoring the podcast. I want you to know that it's time to discover luxury for less with Kravit Furniture's popular upholstery trio, the Jazz, Porter, and Taylor. Now, with improved pricing and faster production times, these stylish frames are available with a 6-week turnaround. Can you imagine furniture in 6 weeks? Kravit's exceptional service combined with great pricing makes them the perfect choice for your next interior design project. Go to kravit.com to learn more and sign up for your design trade account today. Welcome to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today's episode is a tiny bit different in the best way. I'm not the one hosting the conversation. Today, I'm the guest. Over the years, I've had the privilege of being invited onto some incredible podcasts, conversations where with that host, we've dug into business, mindset, leadership, and the real lessons that I've learned from decades in this industry. So in this special crossover series, I'm sharing with you some of these episodes from other podcasts brought here to my podcast feed. These are powerful conversations that often offer a different lens, because when I'm in the guest seat, you might hear different stories, different angles, and new insights that don't always come up when I'm the one asking the questions. And you know what the bonus is? If you like what you hear in this particular episode, I highly encourage you to check out that host's show, right? So you might like more of their episodes, and we will link their podcast in the show notes and more about them as well in the show notes so that you can now begin to learn from them and their brilliance as well. All right, let's get into it. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I enjoyed having it. As a designer, you are a retailer of goods. You are a retailer of your services and of your goods. And why somehow the design industry thought that even Baskin-Robbins, for crying out loud, gets a markup on ice cream, but you don't make a markup. It's mind-boggling to me.
All right. I'm Rebecca Hay, and I've built a successful interior design business by trial and error, podcasts, online courses, and so many freaking books. Over the last decade, I've grown from an insecure student to having false starts to careers, and now I'm finally in the place where I want to be. Throughout my journey, it's been pretty obvious that I'm passionate about business and helping other entrepreneurs do the same. Each week, I'll share tangible takeaways from my own experience and the experiences of other badass women to help you build your confidence and change your business. Hey, it's Rebecca, and you are listening to Resilient by Design. Do I have an episode for you? Today, I'm interviewing none other than LuAnn Nigara. Yep, the queen herself, the queen of the interior design podcasting world. Heck, she might even be the queen of the interior design industry. LuAnn Nigara has been an inspiration to me and to so many other designers. She has an amazing podcast called A Well-Designed Business. It is the very first podcast I ever listened to. It helped me through the early years of my business. I can't believe that I am here today interviewing her for my podcast. She has multiple businesses, LuAnn University. She She has written books. In fact, she has 3 books. She successfully grew her window treatment company called Window Works and now has exciting windows. She has, it's like bananas, all the things that she does. 3 podcasts now. She does live events. She has LuAnn University. I mean, this woman, and I tell her to her face in this podcast, she is a baller, like businesswoman supreme. I'm so thrilled that you guys get to hear the conversation that I had with LuAnn. Stay tuned towards a little bit near the end. We talk about the power of trusting your inner voice. LuAnn has some really insightful stories and advice for design firm owners just like you and me. And of course, her nugget of wisdom will not disappoint. So enjoy this episode with LuAnn. Okay, we're here. I can't actually believe this is happening right now. I am interviewing the queen of podcasting. It's true, LuAnn Nigara. LuAnn, welcome to Resilient by Design. I have a million things I want to ask you. But first of all, thank you so much for being on my podcast.
Rebecca, I am so happy to be here. This is tons of fun for me. I hardly get a chance to be on the other side. So this really is fun. But more importantly, I'm looking forward to doing this with you, and I'm grateful. I've loved getting to know you better over the last year or so. And of course, you've been on my show and you've given tremendous value. So I know this is going to be a great conversation. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think I probably shared this on your podcast, but you are literally the first podcaster I ever listened to. In my life, podcasting. I mean, I feel like when you started, it wasn't mainstream. I mean, maybe it wasn't. I just
before.
Yeah. And I binged it and I was like, oh my God, light bulbs, right? Just these major, massive ahas. Because at the time, I was a couple years into running my design business. And a lot of the listeners today was feeling frazzled, was feeling chaotic. I had no idea how to run a business, didn't go to business school. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know how to show up professionally. And you were like the goddess, giving all of the wisdom. So thank you. Because without you, I don't think I'd be here today. So thank you, LuAnn.
Well, it's all the guests that come on and share their information, and we're willing to peel back the curtain on their businesses. So it's really the whole community that has come together and shared and taught and uplifted and, cheered and all the things. So we do it together.
It's so true. It's so community. I mean, everyone knows how I feel about community. That is, for me, the core of where it's all at, is when we have these shared experiences, we share our experiences, we share our learnings. That's how we really learn, more so even than sitting down and taking a course, right? It's you have the live events. It's when you bring people together and you see people sharing their wisdom, that's when you can really connect and really grow. So anyways, all that to say, I'm so thrilled that you're here. I'm having a little bit of a fangirl moment. I'm not going to lie. You're on my podcast. What? If you had told me in 2020, when I was like, I'm going to start a podcast, that one day I would interview LuAnn Nigara, I'd be like, no,
oh my goodness.
I don't think so.
Silly.
It's amazing.
You're silly.
And when my kid's school called today because I had to go pick my son up because he had a tummy ache, I was like, I cannot miss my interview with LuAnn. I even told the principal, I'm like, I have a really important interview at 2:00. I made it though. I'm here. All right. Without further ado, I just want to dive into all things business. But first, before we even get there, can you just let the audience members know, those who maybe aren't familiar with you or your podcast, what's your deal? Where'd you come from to get to where you are today?
So the podcast is called A Well-Designed Business. And this podcast is literally, the mission of the podcast is to help empower, teach, educate, support interior designers in making their businesses profitable and enjoyable to run. I also have a podcast called Window Treatments for Profit, where I do the same thing, but for window treatment professionals. And then also under my umbrella, we have the podcast called The Inner Edit that Christy Rocha is the host of. And she interviews digital content creators on all the aspects that they face in having to show up every day online in front of tens of thousands of people running a business under the microscope of everybody watching it. So these are the 3 things that we do under the umbrella of LuAnn Nigara, Inc. It stems from 4 decades of running Window Works with my husband, Vince, and our cousin, Bill. So we opened that business in the, I guess, 1981, that is. Not
That was the year I was
1881.
born, LuAnn.
See,
I'll
there
never
you go.
forget that.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's the trajectory of that business of opening up a brick and mortar store and being hungry and just grinding it out with guerrilla tactics on marketing and sales and developing the processes and the systems there and having the complete awareness that the focus on systems and the money is the backbone of the business, understanding that if sales are not there, it's not going to happen either, but sales alone will not do it. And so the others have to be in place. And then through the experience of running Window Works from really 1982, 83, I started cultivating designer trade business. I was the salesperson at Window Works for most of the years and now run the sales team. I cultivated the designer trade business. And through all the years of working with the designers, it was painfully clear that they struggled to run the business side of it. And that regardless of how talented they were, that was not what translated to their success. I would work with designers that honestly, in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, it was clear they were little above your garden variety store on the highway designer talent. We all know an average talented designer. It's no smack. It just is a fact. We all have different skills. But the crazy thing is there were exact examples of designers with average talent that were literally bringing home 150, 200K to their families back in the 90s. And then I had designers that were literally AD 100, Kips Bay designers that were doing projects that your mind would be blown at the creativity, the beauty, the layering, the everything. And we're having conversations in elevators how they can't make payroll year after year after year.
That must have blown your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just
you're an Architectural Digest.
Yeah.
How do you not have the business figured out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it just became, it can't be about your talent. And if you're relying on your talent to create a profitable business, it's not going to work. It's just literally is not going to work.
Yeah. Talent alone is not going to grow, scale, or make you profitable. You don't even have to want to scale. No. It's just bringing home money to your family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I learned also too that a lot of designers, even when they're not profitable, will rationalize because they are producing beautiful work and they are changing people's lives with the beautiful creations and the spaces that they provide for their consumers. And so there's a tremendous amount of satisfaction and there's a tremendous amount of validation in the talent and how incredible it is. And so privately, they would just ignore the fact that I'm working for a $50,000 salary and I could work for my friend down the block for 85. You know what I'm saying?
1,000%. I remember in the first few years, I wouldn't even look at the bank account. If you'd asked me how much money did you make last year, I would have had no freaking clue. But did you see I got a project on the cover of Style at Home magazine? That made up for the fact that I had no money.
Exactly. I saw it. I saw it over and over again. And good for you for saying that out loud, Rebecca, because now you're in a position where you're helping and training and working with interior designers to increase their profitability and make their processes better. And it's a lot of courage for you to say that out loud. And I appreciate it because it is probably 85% of creative business owners that's a true statement for.
Yeah. And it is amazing how little we talk about it. Even last night, I was out for dinner with some of my designer friends here in Toronto, and the conversation always circles back to, did you see the project that person did? Oh, wow, look at this project. Because we're creatives, right? Yeah. And meanwhile, I'm sitting there, I'm like, can we talk about how's everyone doing financially? What's your cash flow like, right? I've got a client that I'm that's not paying me and I have to get I'm eager and anxious for those open, vulnerable conversations, because that makes you feel like you're not alone. And I think that's what you've really done with your podcast, LuAnn, is you realize all these designers are struggling with the same thing, but they're not talking to each other about it. And there's nobody there to help them because their accountant and bookkeepers that's not their job to school them and teach them. And you're not going to inspire someone by telling them, you need to look at your P&L. What's your profit margin, right?
Exactly. And they can, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Even if the best accountant or bookkeeper is counseling you to pay attention, if you're not going to, you're not going to. And it's fear. It's fear. It's fear of not understanding the accounting and the profit margins, and it's fear of not understanding the back end of the business. And so we just concentrate on the front end that we're good at. And we just keep thinking it'll click, but it's not going to. It's just not going to. It's impossible.
This is your tough love, everyone who's listening. If you've just been listening and not acting, today's the day you take action. I love it.
Because what happens is, and I want to be clear, you can stay in business for 10, 15, 20 years, but there's difference between creating a job for yourself that you actually have all the pressure of a business and creating wealth. And what I call it, when I do my live presentations, I call it money laundering. You're bringing the money in. You're bringing it in. That. You're doing it. You sold a $300,000 project. You brought it in. But at the end of the year, there's $20 left because you brought it all in and you paid it all out. Nothing stayed in the middle. And there's no glory in that. But that's how you actually, because some people in there, like when I say it is impossible to be successful if you don't pay attention to the back end. And they're like, well, I've been in business 25 years. I'm like, great. That's awesome. And what did you pay yourself last year? And then I say, and what your gross revenues? I'm like, well, here's what you should have paid yourself. If your gross revenues are that number, this is what you should have paid yourself. I said, and what do you have in the bank? And what have you invested in? Like, have you created wealth? Or have you done $1.5 million or $2 million worth of projects that have come in on top line revenue for 20 years and you have literally earned $50K and your car payment out of it every year? Like, no, that is not what this is supposed to look like. And it doesn't have to look like that. That's the thing.
Yeah. And you know what, LuAnn, it's so interesting. I'm headed down to Nashville next week to meet with my business coach in person for the first time because life is on
fun.
Zoom now. And she's asked me to print off the last 5 years of income statements, right? And my balance sheet. So I've gone through this exercise of like, okay, I'm putting it into a spreadsheet. And I asked like my office manager, can you print all these for me? And he's printing them and bringing them to me. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Like even me, I think I'm pretty good. But I'm looking back, like more historically, like look at 2017, look at 2018, look at 2019. A couple of things that really popped out at me. And one of them that now hearing you talk has got me wanting to share is that from 1 year, I think it was 2018 to 2019, my gross revenue doubled.
Nice.
And I might misquote it, but my profit margin more than doubled. And I'm like, what? This is so interesting. Why?
You should have had a little pot of money there that year.
I did. Going into the pandemic, I did. And I was very grateful for that. But I realized that was the year I started keeping all my commissions and discounts. That was the year that I stopped sharing all my trade discounts because I used to split them 50-50 with clients.
Oh my God.
Holy heck,
Don't
what
even
a
get
difference.
me started.
I know. We've talked about this before on your podcast, but I'm like, the numbers don't lie.
Right. And it's your hard-earned money. It's due to you. It's due to you. You know me, I say it on the show all the time. We go into, dinner at the Capitol Grill or Ruth Chris or Morton's or whatever it is. And they don't sit there and say, hey, this filet mignon cost us 25 cents. So we're going to sell it to you for 50 cents. It's like, no, that filet mignon is going to cost you $45.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you happily pay it because of the package that it's in. You can go to the grocery store and buy your own filet mignon and cook it and season it and all the things and serve it and clean it up and scrape the pans. Or you can choose as a grown-up to engage in a luxury service and knowingly go into the transaction knowing that you're not paying wholesale for that dinner, period.
Totally.
Yeah.
I actually interviewed one of my Designers Room members. She's a new member. She took my course and her name is Amanda. She's a New England Home and Interiors, super savvy woman who's been in corporate for 30 years in the banking world and has now just opened her design firm. And we had this conversation and she's like, it baffles her mind that people are passing on these discounts. Cause she was saying like in the banking world, like there's a capital, I'm going to misspeak, but she was basically saying that that's not how capital markets work.
No.
So why are people doing that? And I'm like, oh, and I'm hearing, I mean, I preach about it all the time, but it's just little old Rebecca over here preaching, and LuAnn too. But she had like concrete facts from like the banking world. I'm like, yeah, what she said. Yes.
That's it. That's it. Well, the thing is, the trade discounts were set up in order to encourage you as a purchaser in the space to come back to that store. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm selling to Mrs. Smith. I'm Bob's Furniture. I'm selling to Mrs. Smith. But if you come to me 30 times in a year, that's worth more to me than 30 Mrs. Smiths. And so, because I don't have to pay for you over again, I don't have to market to you over again. So encourage you to do I'm going to let you create a store within my store. As a designer, you are a retailer of goods. You are a retailer of your services and of your goods. And why somehow the design industry thought that even Baskin-Robbins, for crying out loud, gets a markup on ice cream, but you don't make a markup. It's mind-boggling to me.
I know. It's so crazy. So this just gets me thinking about, like, you obviously are very clearly such a baller when it comes to business. Like, you are just, no, you really are. I don't know why I use that term. It's amazing. It comes naturally to you. It has not come naturally to me. And so I've learned a lot of, and I've had to like trial and error a lot of these things. What I remember you once talking about, maybe you've talked about many times, I don't remember where it was probably on your podcast, about this idea of when you wanted to launch your podcast. And I think your husband was saying, why? I mean, I'll let you fill in the story, but what I remember from the conversation is you had a business plan. Yeah. You weren't just like, I'm just going to create a podcast because I want to talk to people. Like Rebecca Hay over here is like, I just want to talk to designers and it's going to be so fun. And now here I am, like year 3. I'm like, oh man, we need to like cover our costs. So
you don't give in yourself enough credit. I'm sure you're doing a much better job internally than you're saying. Yes. Yeah. We're
working at it. But you really had strategically sort of a plan, and you treated it like a business when you were talking about your books. And I mean, you can share that story, but am I right in that assumption?
Yes, you're 100% right. Yeah. No, I mean, when it came time for, and before, and don't let me forget to answer it, but I just want to address something that you said, like, oh, you're a baller and this comes easy to you and naturally to you. It didn't come easier naturally to you. Understand, we just established, I started my business the year you were born. Okay.
That's a very fair point.
There's a few years
some life
here, right?
There.
Okay. Yeah. And so, I didn't pop out. You know what I'm saying? And so, the thing is, just like you, Rebecca, at your stage now, what you know and you own, you will passionately go to the designers that you coach and say, I know this to be true. It's just that I have 20, whatever more years, 30 more years of those things that I've stacked up. So I'm willing to be more in your face about more topics. That's all it is. Okay.
I like that.
I didn't
That's very
pop
important
out brilliant.
Well, maybe a little, but that actually is a good reminder for all of us listening too, because we compare ourselves to people, especially designers. We're all guilty of that, especially on the gram, of comparing ourselves to someone who's further along in their journey, whether it's that they've been in business for a longer period of time, or they've really niched down, or whatever it is they've done. And so it's a good reminder. Thank you, LuAnn.
You always have to take stock of the things that you're doing right. Yeah. Never forget. I don't care if you're in business 3 months. There's something you did in the first 3 months that you said, that was a good decision on my part. Stack it up. And then by the time you're 4+ decades into it, there's just a bigger stack. That's all. There's just bigger. And there's a lot more failures that you learn from. And so you come back stronger in it. That's all I want to make sure we cover. Now, as far as the podcast is concerned, yes, there's no question that I think no matter what it is, it's not that when you start a podcast, you have to, or you should, or I have a belief that it should be started as a business. What it is it's one step before that. Why are you doing the thing that you're doing? So for me, when I said I wanted to do a podcast, it was getting clarity on, is this something that I want to do as a hobby? Do I just want to do this? Do I just want the opportunity to speak to people about business and all of this stuff? And it was like, no, I have hobbies. I have things in my life that I do that are fun. And I knew that I wanted it to be the business. I called it the retirement business because I can do it from anywhere. I was, like I said, in Window Works, and I was one of the salespeople. At that point, we had grown a larger team, but I was responsible for half of the gross sales of Window Works at that point. And it was very clear that our home did not make money unless Vin and I knocked on a door and said, "Hi, I'm here from Window Works for our appointment." And we were just getting to the point in life where it's like, is this how we're going to do this for the next 20 years? Like, we actually have to schlep the books and then go in and do this.
I cannot picture you schlepping fabric books or a sample.
Oh my God, I schlepped them for 40 years. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it just also, the challenge was gone, quite frankly. I was over it. I enjoy my position at Window Works now as quote unquote co-chairman of the board, where we advise the team, the new ownership team. We sold the business to my son-in-law and our daughter, and then there's other minority partners. But this was intended to be a business. And in order for it to be a business, it had to have a strategic plan. It had to have, how was it going to monetize? What were those revenue streams going to look like? And what was it going to cost? What were the operational expenses? And, the operational expenses from the first year are insanely different now as I go into year 8. The first year I did 3/4 of the tasks myself, nights, weekends, 2:00 in the morning, 6:00 in the morning. Now I have 13 people on my team to run this podcast.
Wow.
Now every bit of it is, like, okay, who does that? Not me. You know what I'm saying?
You just get to show up and talk. Which is what
like,
you were the best at anyways, right?
Well, this is the thing. I have 2 roles. I'm the visionary and I'm the interviewer. This is it. It's like everything gets filtered through. Like, I dump my ideas every darn day, drive them all out of their minds, and ask them 2 days later, have we executed yet? And they're like, wait, that was for real? I'm like, yeah, that was Monday. It's Wednesday. What happened?
Come on, people. Come on.
Or they're looking at me going, yeah, you keep saying that one. We don't think that idea is a good idea. All right. Prove me wrong. Why? It didn't have to be. It had to be for me. I had hobbies. This was never a hobby. It was supposed to be the retirement business, period. And that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. So do you find that you've slowed down? Like, is your time less committed now than before, or is it just different?
I definitely spent the last year working very few Saturdays and Sundays. It's very rare. Like, I've had many more Saturdays and Sundays in the last year than in the last 7 years, I should say, where I didn't work at all. Not 1 minute, not 1 second. And the ones that I did work, I characterize them as work I choose to do. It's not deadline driven. There's no distractions. There's no people. There's no meetings. There's no interviews. So it's like, what would happen if I did this? How would I plan that out? What would be the expenses for that? What would be the possible revenue from that? And it's just the dreaming of what's next. And so that's a big difference. But that is also, I'm trading money for time. I've 13 people on the payroll now.
Yep.
So I'm just trading it out. It's like, we say it's all time or money. It's like coaching. Look, every single person that listens to your podcast, probably 95% of them will ultimately create a fairly successful business, even if, God forbid, it's a money laundering business and they just pay the bills and rob Peter to pay Paul and they make money, right? But the difference is if they invest their time and money with you, then they will cut the time that it takes them to be profitable. And that's all that is. We can grind it out and figure it out, or we can pay somebody who's a step ahead of us and buy the information and the expertise to help us cut through.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've always subscribed to that. I mean, I started hiring people in my business early on. I don't know if it was just because I'm like, I don't want to have to do these tasks. I always thought really big, I suppose. I'm like, I'm going to have a $500 million business, like with no concept of how I was going to even get there. I've got my team. We got a whiteboard. They're like, yeah, okay, Rebecca, like you're freaking loopy. I mean, we haven't hit 500 million yet. I'll let you know.
That's it. You can't get there if you don't plan it, though.
That's right. See?
You can't get there if you don't even dream it. If you don't even allow yourself to dream it, how could you even possibly make a plan to achieve it? So, you know what? High five to you.
Thank you, LuAnn. One day we'll look back on this conversation and I'll say, LuAnn dressed in green with her green mic gave me the green light to go after my dreams, and I did it.
That's it. That's it.
All right, designers, if you have been looking for a millwork company, a custom kitchen fabricator, then you have to check out Devix Kitchens. They will make your life easier without all that freaking drama. Damon, the man behind Devix Kitchens, has streamlined the entire process. Hello, you know I love a good process. Making your project a breeze from start to finish. Seriously though, you will wonder why you haven't found them sooner. If you need to reach out with questions or ideas, you can always give Damon a call or even send him a text message. He is that easy to work with. He personally supervises every single project. He is never going to leave you hanging. But what about the installation, right? Because sounds great on paper, but then sometimes it can be frustrating. Not with Devix Kitchens. They only hire skilled installers who not only get the job done, but do so with the utmost politeness. And guess what? They are masters at leaving zero mess behind. Hallelujah! Your clients are going to be wowed, and you won't even have to deal with any embarrassing situation. No drama here. They are as reliable as it comes. Devix Kitchens will ship anywhere in North America. Go check them out and give Damon a call. I'm a little woo-woo sometimes. I'm learning a lot more about tapping into my intuition. But I've always been, like, one of my key strengths is I'm a futuristic. So I see the future before it comes. I can see things, which is probably why I'm good at design, because I can envision the finished space, right? But when it comes to business, I think there's so much power in crafting a vision, having a vision board, doing that exercise to sort of let your subconscious take over. Like, where do I really, if I could do it without judgment, where would I see myself in 10 years? And
100%.
I think it's so powerful. Have you had any experience doing anything like a little bit more woo-woo that way? Like, what? I don't know that I've ever heard you talk about it, but I'm always curious when I speak to someone who's a baller in business, do you tap into that side of you, that intuitive
Oh my
side?
God. I'm woo-woo from practically the womb. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Obviously, I was just picking up on the other things.
Oh, yeah. No. I mean, I have talked about it on the podcast often. My mother and my aunt were woo-woo back in the 60s. Okay. By the time I was 10 years old, I had myself and my brother and our 4 cousins had completed the Silva. It was used to be called the Silva mind control method. And it's because it was the 70s. But now, because that sounds a little whacked, it's just called the Silva method.
I like the original title. Oh my God. It's like when you pick up one of those old books and you start reading it to your kid. Oh, this is not appropriate.
Exactly.
Close this book from 1923.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah. So, I'm 10 and we complete the Silva method, raised on it, ingrained in my brain. My aunt, when I'm 10 years old, starts handing me Napoleon Hill, Og Mandino, Wayne Dyer, Leo Buscaglia. I mean, like literally Dale Carnegie. And I was like the person who like read insatiably. And so I'm like, okay, Nancy Drew and, Napoleon Hill, Nancy Drew, Dale Carnegie, you know what I mean? And it was like, and then what happens is when it gets on your brain cells early, that visualization is a thing. And that it's important and that it should be part of what you do and how you function to expand your brain, your mind, your heart, your soul to all the possibilities. When you're exposed to that young, it becomes second nature. One time I was talking about on the show and somebody was talking about getting into a meditative state. And I'm at the point like I was taught to meditate at 10 years old and we practiced it regularly. My aunt would come over and all of the kids, my mom, my dad, everybody would lay on the floor all over the living room and dining room. And my aunt would lead us in guided meditations.
Wow.
Okay. And then she taught us as children to go to, so you do a 3-to-1 meditation to get to a deeper level of mind. And then she taught us go 10-to-1 to a deeper level of mind. And she did this whole visualization, 10. And it's still clear, crystal clear, because I do it on a regular. And she said for children, she adapted it. And she was like, so when you get down and I say 1, the doors are going to open. and you're going to be in a laboratory, and anything and everything is possible in this laboratory. And you have guides in this laboratory. They can be whoever you want. And like whoever was the pro quarterback at the time, because my boy cousins. So like say, Bill Smith, you know what I mean? If you want Bill Smith to be your guide, Bill Smith could be your guide, right? And the thing is, when you get older, you recognize all she was doing was teaching us to cue into our higher selves. Our guides are us. It's your highest, clearest, most pure voice that leads you. And she would say in the lab, you could do anything in the laboratory. If you want to, hit every single foul shot in your laboratory, go practice foul shots, see your form. Think about that. Like, think about now. We know scientifically now that if an athlete practices his shot or her shot mentally, visually, they are way more statistically likely to be successful. She taught us in 1972 to practice those things in our mind's eye. Wow. Okay. And she would say, if you have a test coming up, go down and tell yourself all the answers come easily to me. I understand the content that my teacher teaches me. I absorb it easily. Like, this is how we were taught. Everything flows to me. It flows in and it flows out. Like, this is how we were raised. And then I come into my teen years and early 20s, and who comes on the scene but Tony Robbins? I mean,
yeah,
he's like maybe 5 years older than me. And I'm like, oh my God. And we're like buying the albums and the 8 tracks and then the CDs, you know what I mean? Like,
stick the cassette in the car.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm woo-woo through and through. Believe me.
Oh my God. Okay. So much of that I absolutely love. I grew up with a very woo-woo mother. I wasn't the reader. I was more of the skeptic. It's so interesting how things obviously can have an effect. Like, your experience was so positive and you at least now reflect on it very positively. Whereas the time for me, I was like rolling my eyes. Okay, here we go. Yeah, sure, Mom. What does Tony Robbins say? What does, I can't think of all the names of the people right now.
Yes.
Right. And now I'm catching myself as an adult, and now with children of my own, I am like a sponge for personal development and all of the woo-woo. And it's so funny. And I feel, my poor mom, I give her such a hard time. But hearing you say that is reminding me that I need to teach my children. Like, my kids are 6 and 9. This is the time.
This is the time.
I love
Bring them down. Learn to meditate and learn to just think and explore. And the biggest thing that I remember was the concept of creating this laboratory in our mind. It's like the vision board of your life. Anything is possible here. What do you want? And of course, when you're little, like, she would relate it to school successes and sports successes and stuff. But you learn the skill and you learn the practice of it. And now you apply it to the rest of all the big things that matter, not just making the foul shots at the game.
Right. So how would you say you've taken that and you've applied it to business? Like, what role do you see intuition playing inside business?
Oh, it's critical. I mean, it's just critical. It's funny because my youngest daughter, like my 4 kids, the 3 are stepchildren though, right? So our daughter together, I remember there was a time, it's crazy because I always hesitate if I should tell the story or not because it's graphic. Okay. So I'll do the high points of it and you let me know if you want details. She's 8th grade. She's playing in a soccer game. I'm sitting on the bench, with our little town school. And there are parents on the bench and I'm sitting there watching the game. And there's 2 women about 3 seats behind me on the bench. They are talking to each other. They are thinking they're being quiet about it, but they're not. And the one woman says to the other woman, did you hear about, let's call them Billy and Sally on Saturday night? Now, I recognize these 2 names as also being 8th graders in my daughter's school. And this is September of 8th grade year. And the other one goes, I know, I heard that Sally gave Billy you know what. Okay. 8th grade. I'm stunned. I am stunned. And I'm stunned on multiple levels. I'm stunned on the level, like, first and foremost, that these 2 women are talking about it and they have no idea, truthfully, if it's true. And now they're whispering on the bench. And I'm just like, these are children. Like, I'm sorry, you want to get on the phone and you want to talk smack. I don't agree with it, but you do it in your privacy, not where you think you're being quiet. Number two, my brain goes to, I'm so sorry, at 8th grade, this is happening, like 8th grade. Think about that. That's 3 years for you. Like, no. Okay.
Whoa. That's not going to happen to me. No.
Exactly.
Like
your child is 9 in 4 years, 13 years old. They're in 8th grade. Stop. Okay. And so my brain goes to, okay, I thought I had to I don't know, 10th or 11th grade before I had to have this conversation. Now I got to look at my little baby in 8th grade. I got to have this conversation, right? And so I end up, the whole story is this big, long thing, but I end up having a conversation with her. The crux of the conversation that I said to her was, you have an inside voice. You have an inside voice. You have the goddess voice in you. And that goddess voice always knows best. And I said, there will be a day when you are much older that you will likely engage in this activity. But there is a difference between doing it because you think you should in order to fill in the blank, make somebody like you, make somebody not break up with you. I don't care. I don't care. And when you do it because you love somebody and you're choosing to do it, try having that conversation with 13-year-old. It is brutal. Okay. But I said to her, whether you are talking about looking at somebody's test and trying to take an answer, or something as big in life as respecting your body and your person. I don't care if it's a big thing or a little thing. I promise you, in each moment, your goddess voice is going, I don't think you should do it. I don't think you should do it. I don't think you should do it. And sometimes your goddess voice will say, I don't think you should have a cookie because mom said no cookies before dinner. And you might ignore that goddess voice, but don't tell me you're going to take that cookie and you're not going to hear the voice that says, I'm not supposed to have this cookie. I said, but you need to understand that it's the same voice for the biggest events in your life. And if you honor that voice, you will not make mistakes that you will regret. You can choose to ignore it, but understand there will probably be consequences for that choice because your core soul will not have wanted to do it. And so it's the same in business. You get it. It's like a lot of times I'll have designers that I'm coaching with and the chairman of the board and different things. And they'll be like, this client wants me to give their money back and I don't think I should and blah, blah, blah. And I'll be like, tell me the God's honest truth. Like, I know you don't want to write a check for $30,000 right now. I know that's going to drain your checkbook. I get it. But you tell me the truth. Is it the right thing to do based on the circumstances, or is it not? Because if it's not, you and I are going to figure out a way to make it clear to this client that they're not entitled to this. But if it's the right thing to do, then it's very important to you that you do the right thing. I promise you, you do not want to be the business owner that does not have integrity. Mm-hmm. And you have to go to sleep at night. So you might figure out a way to ignore that person, not make them whole, not do whatever, but you're never going to forget it. And now you become the person who cuts corners, that doesn't do the right thing. And that is not worth $30K. And I don't care if it does empty your checkbook.
Whoa, tough love. I love that. LuAnn.
I get on a roll. I'm sorry.
I know. I love it. I freaking love it. I love that story. I love that story. I love your response to that story. I feel like it's like a little bit of that. Do you follow, your kids are grown up, but Dr. Becky Good Inside?
Oh, my daughter listens to her.
Yeah,
I've heard of her through her. My youngest now is going to be 35 in 2 weeks. I mean,
Yeah. So she would know. Yeah. Anyways, as I feel like you're channeling that parenting wisdom. And I actually feel like also maybe you could do a set of meditation for children. Just an idea, just throwing it out there. I would buy it for my kids. Or on the Calm app, you can be one of those people.
Right.
But
I don't know how calm I could be.
Yeah. Oh, I think if you put some effort, you can be zen. But I know really like that story of your daughter, it really brings it back to like those childhood moments of whether or not we remember times in our childhood or upbringing where we did not trust that inner voice. I mean, when I heard you tell that story, I thought of at least 2-3 times immediately, like in my early 20s when I did something and I was too afraid to speak up.
Yes.
I was too afraid to call attention to something because I wanted to be liked. I wanted to fit in. I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings, like all the people pleasing things. And I think if you can't nip it in the bud at a young age, it gets out of control. And so many women can't, I mean, not that you can't rein it in. I feel like I'm now finally in my 40s reining it in and paying attention. I've spent the better part of last year working with a mindset coach on like, what even is that voice? What is that intuition? How do I know what's my intuition and what's, the pros and cons on a piece of paper? Because making decisions, especially in business, sometimes in personal life, it can be a quick, I don't feel like doing that thing. But in business, sometimes I think, and I don't know, designers listening can probably relate to this. There's so many other people who know so much better than me. So why don't I just listen to what they say? And well, this person said that. And so they don't think I should do this. I'm making these mental lists, right? These are the pros of doing this, making this business decision. This is the pros of doing that business decision, to the point where then you don't even know what your intuition's saying because it's so clouded by all the outside advice and opinions. At the time that this is airing, I will have just announced a big change in my business, which is I did a lot of soul searching because I'm trying to figure out like, what is it that like with you, LuAnn, I'm like, what am I doing and why? What am I good at? And where am I having the biggest impact? Because I got a lot of things. I got a lot of pokers in the fire, if you will. Like I've got like the free Facebook group. I've got the community. I've got the course. I've got the other little course. I got the podcast. Like I've got the design business still. Like there's so many things and it's too much and it's not the future for me. And so for me, and this story is just bringing up all this right now is that understanding what is my inner voice telling me and regardless of what people on the outside are saying. And so I made a really hard decision to close my big free Facebook group that I've had for 4 years with over 1,000 people so that I could pave the way to serve designers inside Designers Room. It was on the back of my course. I brought it to the front end. Like to the outside world, this might not seem like a big deal, but for me, it was a really hard decision.
Oh, no, that's significant.
Yeah, I know.
1,000 people closing a group, that's significant.
Right. And so, I mean, at the time of this airing, who knows? I've at the time of this recording, it's just been announced. So there's a lot that can happen between now and then. But I think it's going to be well received because I'm practicing what I preach, right? I'm practicing, you need to trust what is going to be the right fit. And I always talk about, who's your client? What is your strength? And where does that overlap? Because that's your sweet spot, right? That's where you can assist people. And so, but listening to what my inner voice was telling me, it took some time. Like, I don't know if you found that. It sounds like you're pretty skilled at listening to that inner voice now, but does it take sometimes time for you to really kind of sort through the noise to figure out, no, what is my path? Like, that's nice that they have this opinion. It's nice that person thinks it's a bad idea. Great that they think it's a great idea, but I can't give their opinions as much weight as my own. Do you ever experience that? Because that's been a big process for me this year.
Yes, I would say there's multiple things that come to my mind in all of the things that you are saying. And I want to just acknowledge and give you credit for doing this work and to searching for what is the why and really trying to parse through what serves you and your community that you work with now and the designers you serve in the best way to make the best impact. So good on you for doing the exploration. I would tell you there's a couple of things there. Number one, go back to the fact that I did start meditating at 10 years old. And it is the type of thing where I don't need to be in a quiet room. I can do it driving down the road now. It's just a Zen moment. It's just like, take a breath, clear the head. What are we doing here? Okay. But it is like anything else. If you are experiencing difficulty in hearing your true inside voice, then it's no different than if you're experiencing difficulty in drafting. You can't just say, well, one day next year, I'll probably be good at it. You've got to practice it. You've got to cultivate the quiet to listen to the inner voice and to allow it to bubble up. And so if you have a true desire, it doesn't have to be a half hour. It can be 5 minutes a day. I sit in a chair, I have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or a glass of lemon water, and I just allow my thoughts to enter. Okay. And I see what happens. Now, Beyond that, I will tell you, there is a distinction and a clarity between the inner voice that guides you in your personal interactions. Like when you said in your 20s, you can go back and think the things that you did in order to be liked or not to be disliked or whatever. I don't think any of us really needs a whole lot of practice to hear that voice, especially as women. We have all been in a situation where, whether it's a work situation, it's a girlfriend situation, it's a boyfriend situation, it's a mother, father, sister, brother situation, where we are accommodating somebody else's agenda or desires and ignoring our own in order to fill in the blank. Be liked, be loved, be agreeable, be quiet, be whatever. Okay. And I think we know when it's happening. And so to tap into, and see, the thing is, I'm not going to say I'm going to disrespect my mother over my inside voice. It's my mother. Okay. But then it's also a conscious choice. It's like, you know what, LuAnn, this isn't feeling really great. However, this is serving your mom and your relationship with your mom right now, or your daughter or your husband. And you can choose to look at it a different way, process it a different way, ask for a clarification, ask for a condition on this so that it feels right. Okay. So all I'm saying is it's not a blanket get out of jail card or get in jail card, right? There's some thinking and nuance. And then from the business standpoint, what I would say is it's very important to surround yourself with advisors, trusted advisors. So in my first book, I wrote about assembling your dream team, because most of us as entrepreneurs are visionary. You spoke about how you have lots of ideas and your vision board and all the things. And, you know, a great idea isn't necessarily an inside voice moment. Like, let's be real. Sometimes it's just a great idea. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's an inspired idea and it is an inside voice moment, and you got to, put the pedal to the metal and do it. But that doesn't mean when it comes to business that it doesn't get vetted. You see, I don't have to vet if the personal situation I'm in feels like my personal boundaries are being abused. I don't have to vet that. That's bullcrap. Get out of my boundaries, back up. Okay. But a great idea in business, like I can have 10 minutes thinking I'm a genius. This is like a most amazing. And then it's like, okay, let's get all the advisors here. Let's get my people who listen to my stuff. And then they either poke holes in it and I can still justify or explain or mitigate, or they like yes and or no, but. So having a community of trusted, like I've got my first level circle people around me, second level circle people, third level circle people around, and they come in all shapes and forms. They come from in and outside the industry, in and outside your family. But the people whose opinion, has that right mix of, I have your best interest at heart, and I can separate my desires and goals from the question or the problem that you have at hand. This is why I developed the Chairman of the Board program, because so often our partner is one of our most trusted advisors, right? Like who's all in on our partner than us? If the business is successful, then their life is easier, whatever partnership it is, right? Whether it's a business partner or a life partner. But I was finding so often with interior designers, like I had this one situation where a designer had such a great clarity on an investment that was a $35,000 investment for her to make for her business. And she calls me up and she's like, I just got to run this by you. Like, am I crazy? Because she was in business maybe a year and it was a big deal to make this investment. And she runs it all by me and I'm asking her all the different questions. I'm like, this seems like a home run. Like, what's the problem? And she said, it's just it's a lot of money to spend. You know what I'm saying? I have it, but it's a lot of money to spend. I've never made a purchase of this level before. And what's funny is I asked my husband about it. And when I explained to him all of the things like I did to you, he said, my gosh, I think it's a great idea. You should do it. And she said, okay, so I'm going to write the check. It's like, oh, how much is it? And she said, $35,000. And he said, wait a minute. You have $35,000 in your business checking account that you can like divert to that? And she was like, well, yeah. And he goes, well, if you've got that kind of money, you should be making an investment in our kids' college fund. And I'm like, right there. You see?
Yeah.
Because the 35,000 she was going to invest probably returned her 150,000 the next year. But see, when somebody's too close and aren't objective and their own needs start to seep in to that, quote unquote, like decision-making process. And that's why, you do need your dream team around you.
Yeah. And I think what I'm hearing, which is very sage advice, is, be careful who you're getting advice from, right? The idea is like surround yourself with mentors, people who know what it is that you do, who understand your business. Don't ask your friend who's a teacher who teaches grade 1 if you should make a decision in your business. Like, what did they know about your business? And yet don't give it the same weight as somebody else's opinion.
And this is where the inside voice is very important, because you can have 2 or 3, like, look, you're right. It's unlikely that a first grade teacher is going to be able to help you weather and measure out big risks in your business because they've never experienced it. But I'm going to tell you what, you cannot discount that first grade teacher might be representative of your target client, and she might be able to give you great advice on the way your stupid Instagram feed looks. You know what I'm saying? So my point is, though, that your inside voice is a very good guide to who your advisors are. Like, you sit quietly. Am I getting good advice? Like, I love my husband. He is one of the most brilliant businessmen I've met. And I will tell you, 80% of what I know from being in business side by side with him, hands down. But there are certain things I'm like, nope, you're not the one I'm asking this to. Nope, not you. I'll ask him these 5 things, but my inside voice knows where I got to go to Nicole Heimer. Or I've got to go to my cousin Eileen Hahn, or I've got to go to Amber de la Garza, or I got to go to Gustavo at Duke Renders. Like, and there's things that I go to Nigara on. Let's do this. But that's where your inside voice guides you, right?
Just like there's certain people who you ask if this is the right outfit.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Not everyone.
Exactly.
You don't want certain people's opinions about your outfit because they have no idea about fashion.
Exactly. It's so true. Every time I put an outfit together, I come down, I say to Vinny, he's like, you look great in that. I'm like, great, but I want to know if it's this belt or that belt. And he's like, I don't think it should be a belt at all. I'm like, forget it. And then I send a picture to my 2 daughters and they're both like, that belt. I'm like, okay, it's that belt.
Exactly. But that is the perfect example. Oh my gosh, such wise words. Yeah, that is something too, I think, by finding the mentors. And I think sometimes when we're starting out and running our creative businesses, we don't really even know where to find those mentors. And that's why I think it's amazing. We have these podcasts like yours, communities, these courses, like find mentors there. I did an interview this morning with 2 of my longtime OG POP students, like Power of Process, my course. And the one girl, Ariella, she's so sweet. She literally took my first course that ever came out, joined the membership the first time it ever came out. And she's been in there ever since. And she said, I was at there's like a local designer get together in her city in Montreal. And she said, Rebecca, I hope it's okay, but I tell everyone you're my mentor. And I'm like, I am. And just the same way that, like, LuAnn, you've been my mentor, even though I haven't known you in person for all these years. Like, there's absolutely an opportunity to find mentors who you respect, who give you good advice, who are helping to make your life better, even if they're not sitting down with you face to face. And I think that's what's so magical about what you and I get to do, because we get to connect without, we don't have physically the time to like travel to all these cities and sit with all these people, although you do a lot of travel. So maybe you do a little bit of that.
But your point's well made. If you're lucky enough to have an organic relationship in person, great. And if you're not, there are ways to do it. And for me, they come from all different walks. It's like, I really do. I engage my intuition and, my sixth sense on people. And I will literally say, oh, you're going to come with me from now on, please. like, please get on Voxer so I can ask you questions when I need to.
That's cute. I love that. And you might find someone where you least expect it, right? You might connect with another parent. And that's what I've started to find is as my business grows and as my desire for learning about business grows, it's expanded past my friend circle, because not a lot of my friends are entrepreneurs. They don't run their own business. And I love them, but they can't advise me on certain things. And so connecting with a parent who's an entrepreneur at my kid's school who has like a lash business, like
Right.
completely not related to what I do. She sells to Walmart. She's a baller. And I'm like, let's
Wow.
go for lunch. Right.
Yeah,
Because
I love that.
it's such a great opportunity to learn from each other. And I
Mhm.
just love, it's so nice to talk shop. Let's be honest. We all like to talk shop about whatever we're passionate about.
All day, every day, right?
All day. That's why we have podcasts. All right. So LuAnn,
true.
what is coming ahead for you? Like, what does 2024 look like? We're in January now. What does the year ahead look like for LuAnn Nigara Inc.?
We're leaning heavily into LuAnn University has been available and open for probably 4 years at this point. I think we started 2019, so this is probably the 5th year. And my thing is every year we do innovations to it. Every year we do up levels to it. So whether it's on the back end, on documenting the processes and building them out another level, or on the front end in building out the marketing plan for it. But when I think about the spaghetti I threw at the wall on it in 2019 to where it is now, it's a huge machine, you know what I mean, from a standpoint of operating it and doing it. But, you know, we have such fantastic instructors. It really is the education, the things that you need to know about running a design business that if you went to design school, they didn't teach you. And if you come by your design chops through the school of hard knocks, you certainly didn't get it. And it's like, you know, between that and the podcast, it's like the MBA in what you need to run your design business. And so this year, we're doing just 1 semester as opposed to 2 semesters. We're leaning in and trying to build that up and level that up from a quality standpoint, from a deliverable standpoint, from an actionability, what you get from it standpoint. So we'll put this 1 semester out there, and then we're going to dig back in and kind of take it apart and build it back up again. But it's so good where it is. And so I'm very pleased and proud of it, and proud of the various industry colleagues that come and spend their time and teach the classes. At the time that we're talking, there's not concrete plans for LuAnn Live 2024. The crazy thing is the design industry calendar is brutal. I had decided a year and a half ago that I was going to live in that first week in November, that I was like, okay, you know, you go to High Point, then you go to Las Vegas Market, then you go to IDS conference, then you go to ASID gathered, then, and November, you go to LuAnn Live, just like make it easy. Well, I do it 1 year this week. And I looked 6 months ago at the High Point calendar for next October, and aren't they pushing it back? It ends like the 27th of October.
Yes,
and
I did see that. Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me here? Like, just stay in the second week where you belong. What is that? What is that? Just stay there. Is it so hard? Like, the place is closed all year long. It's not like you got to book it. Like, I just don't understand.
Someone's probably going on some European vacation. And so,
I mean, it's so funny. I've been going to High Point 8 years. My birthday is October 16th. I've had every single birthday in High Point for 8 years, except for one, which was the year I actually turned 60, and they threw me a big party because they had moved it to that last week of September.
I completely forgot that. I was there. It was after I'd been on your podcast. I saw you cut the cake. Yeah, it was super
right.
cool. And we actually have a picture of us together. Yes, I forgot
right.
that.
Yeah. And so this is the second time in 8 years that they move it to this other week. So then I went to go to the first week of October. And Jenny Cano, who is the executive director for IDS, and her and I are great friends, and I love IDS. And she Voxers me, and she's like, Lou, I just signed the contract. You know, you're not going to want to do that first week of October. And I'm like, you are kidding me. Like this. So, you know, you have the beginning of school. You have lots of holidays in September and October. And so right now, when this airs, I may have a decision, but I'm now contemplating parking this thing the 4 days before High Point. And this is either going to be the best idea I ever had, or it's going to be the worst idea I ever had.
But honestly, isn't that the fun thing about running your own business? Is you get to make those decisions. And that was like me with the membership and like closing the Facebook group. I'm like, either this is going to be brilliant,
yes,
or everything's going to go upside down. But you know what?
Exactly.
My gut is telling me to go. I think you can do
I'm
it
still waiting
anytime.
for my universe message on my gut right now.
Yeah.
I'm really knee deep into it. And that is another lesson in that. It's like, I have learned if I don't pull the trigger on something, that either it's not right,
Yeah.
And I just have to trust that it's not right, because when I know it's right, I'm done. Boom, pull the trigger. Or I don't have all the information to make the decision yet. And so it's so funny because we've had decisions on our team where they're like, you were going to decide this last week. And I'm like, and they're like, you were going to decide this last month. And I'm like, right. I'm still waiting for the messages from the universe. You just sit tight.
I love that. Oh, that makes me feel better. I do love that. I was thinking about that. Like, we've been house hunting for like 4 years, but like, air quotes, I see how, but I can't pull the trigger. And I'm like, it's obviously not the time. There is some
you don't really want it.
I don't really want it. Maybe I just want to be a real estate agent. I just like looking at houses. I don't know what it is.
You just spend your time going to open houses on Sunday for fun. Don't drag your husband around. Just do it for fun. Get it out of your system.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's so hard as a designer, right? Because you can envision everything has potential. Like, but that house had such great potential.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So good. Well, whatever you end up doing, obviously we will be sharing it here. I'm excited to sort of continue to support you and all of the things, because you are doing a lot of things and it's amazing. Before we sign off today, I would love if you could share one last nugget of wisdom with all of our listeners.
So, but I think the last thing that I'd love to leave you and your audience with, Rebecca, is that you don't have to do it alone. You're probably not going to do it alone. You probably can't do it alone. And that's not a lack on your part. And when you look at somebody and you either think their design is great or you think their business sense is great, it is built on year after year of intentionally coming back and doing the things. And I don't have a secret weapon or a secret wand. I just have a lot of experience. And one day you will too. And you will be sitting someplace and look back on your life and your business and your career. You have to make intentional choices along the way. You have to be willing to listen to your inside voice. You have to be willing to up-level your skills. You have to be willing to say, I have a gap in this area and I'm going to coach with Rebecca to fill the gap. I have a gap in this area. I'm going to take this course to fill that gap. You can't pretend it. But if you do those things every single year, you get better and better and better. And then all of a sudden you're just like, yeah, I got this. This is good. We're all capable. I think if you are capable of dreaming it, you are capable of creating it.
Boom. Love that. Love that. Mic drop moment. For
Yeah.
those who don't know where to find and follow you, can you let them know where they can do so?
Yeah. Like if you go to LuAnnNigara.com, then you will see the tab for LuAnn University. You will see the tab for Chairman of the Board. You will see the tab for the 2 podcasts, all 3 podcasts, actually. It all lives there at LuAnnNigara.com.
Thank you so much, LuAnn. It's been such a pleasure having you on the podcast. I hope you'll come back and continue to share your wisdom. I know this episode is going to just explode a lot of people's minds and just get them ready for the year ahead. Like, I love that this is happening in January. You know, it's a really great time to just set those intentions for the year, as you said, right? And remember that you don't have to do it alone.
No.
So thank you for that.
And you're capable of doing it. You can do it. I promise you can. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, can we please just have a moment to appreciate that conversation? LuAnn, you are such an inspiration. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast and sharing your wisdom. My biggest takeaway is your whole experience learning about visualization as a child and how that has really informed you as an adult. And this conversation that we had about trusting your inner voice, I absolutely loved it. And I know that people listening probably did too. If you guys want to send LuAnn a note, let her know how much you appreciated her coming and sharing her wisdom on this podcast. You can find her on Instagram. You can, of course, go and find her website, LuAnnNigara.com. You can find all of her things there, but absolutely let me know too. Like, what else do you want me to pick LuAnn's brain about? Because maybe we can entice her back on the podcast one day in the near future, because I just didn't want that conversation to end. Her nugget of wisdom, really, I love there was multiple nuggets, actually. Thank you for that, LuAnn. Multiple nuggets. And I'm going through my notes. I took so many notes while we were talking, but just leaving things on that sort of final note, which was make intentional choices, and you don't have to do it alone. I think those are such incredibly powerful words for all of us to remind ourselves. And that doesn't just apply to design business, that applies to life, right? You can ask for help You can seek out mentors. You can find the answer so you don't have to do it blindly in the dark. I think today's conversation really highlighted that. And trust your intuition. Trust that inner voice. Find the mentors. Find those people whose decisions or at least advice you trust and you know they come from the right place. But know that your inner knowledge and your inner knowing is going to guide you. I hope that really gets you set off on the right foot as you guys enter into a brand new year. It's an exciting year. I feel as though things are going to change in 2024. I'm excited for all of you to join me inside my Designers Room community. So if you listen to this episode and you want more, you want to talk about this with other designers, that's exactly what we do inside Designers Room. We meet twice a month and we have coaching calls, we have recordings and all the things. Maybe we can even get LuAnn to come join us inside Designers Room. I can think big, right, LuAnn? I'm thinking big. Thanks again for taking the time. Guys, if you liked this episode, please go on over to iTunes, give us a little rating, give us a little love, and I'll see you all soon. The Resilient by Design podcast is produced by Vera Marquez, edited by Abby Circatella, and hosted by yours truly, Rebecca Hay.
Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or LuAnn University, go to LuAnnNigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to WindowWorksNJ.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.